I'm here with Sister Seton Canane from Gonzaga College High School, who is the director of the service programs at Gonzaga. Sister,
it's good to be with you, John.
Good to be with you. Tell us something about the service programs at Gonzaga, especially the summer service ones.
Sure. I think I mentioned to you last year at this time we were going to a new site, and it's in Ecuador, Quito. And the school that we go to was founded by a Jesuit priest from the New York province, and he's been down there for 40 or 50 years. He's in his late 80s. But when he originally went down there to teach, he was aware of so many street children, kind of urchins, many of whom were young boys, who were aimlessly in the streets kind of begging for food and for clothing. And so he started what's known as the Shoeshine Boys Outreach, and he got them kind of shoe polishing kits and everything to go to the bus stations and to the train stations to earn some extra money for themselves, for their family. And it expanded over these years now to a wonderful school for the children, and it's boys and girls. So we've been going, we started last summer, and we hope to continue this summer to go down there. And
how did you make the connection with them?
I had, actually, it's kind of a small world, but his name is Father Halligan, and he's originally from Queens, New York, where we had a grammar school. And 3 of his sisters became Sisters of Notre Dame. So he's always had a kind of a soft spot in my heart.
And, of course, you're a sister of Notre Dame.
I am.
Yes. And I know that you go to New Orleans. I know that you
go to New
Camden.
Orleans. We started going there after the Katrina hurricane, and that's been another wonderful project called the St. Bernard's Project, which, by the way, was started by a husband and wife team, but the wife went to visitation. So that's kind of an extra wonderful connection that we have. So it's New Orleans. We have 2 separate weeks going still out to Red Cloud, which is wonderful.
Which is out on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota.
Right. And then we go to Camden, New Jersey, a place called the Romero Center, which, as you know, is one of the poorest cities in the United States. But there's still a lot of hope. There's a new life there going on to help the poor people, which is wonderful.
Right. And of course, out in the Pine Ridge, that's one of the poorest counties in the United States.
Exactly. I remember one year, I can't remember, John, if you went with me that year, but it was when President Clinton was the president.
Yes, I was there with you.
And it was the 2 cities that were vying for top space, in terms of which was the poorest part of the country, and we were going to each of them, whether one was 1 or the other was 2.
Right. And that's what is so important for the kids is to see the poverty in the United States, which is unbelievable.
Exactly.
And they don't know that living in Washington,
so
D.C.,
much for granted,
Virginia, and Maryland.
Right.
And it's good to get them out of their comfort zone. Now, I know that the kids go to a POPCO over spring break.
That's right.
Which is in Florida, and they work with migrant farmers there.
Probably the unique thing about that is that they live with families, but then they have a chance to work in the fields. Generally, it's the cabbage picking season down there. And also, the little claim to fame of this town called Apopka is it's the indoor plant capital of the world. So they have an opportunity to spend time in both sites, and they realize what kind of hard work it is, what boring work it is, but people will do that to get a job, to put food, on the table.
How many kids from Gonzaga will participate in these service projects, both locally, nationally, and internationally?
Well, I would say over 200. That would be during the summertime, but then we have a wonderful response during the school year. And one exciting thing that I'm sure you know, John, is that this year we have a wonderful connection with the Washington Jesuit Academy. They've added on a 5th grade to their wonderful school, and we're tutoring every Monday afternoon there, which is wonderful.
That's really good. How many people work in your section, in your department?
We have Stephen Selassie is the director of campus ministry, and then we have a director of retreats, a director of service, and then one person who's part-time for each of those departments.
I also know that there are chaperones that go with these kids to these places, and most often they're teachers at Gonzaga.
Definitely, and it always is very heartwarming for me to know the generosity of our faculty at Gonzaga, because they really do believe the mission of Gonzaga, and that's really when our young men become men for others, and that really is an enlightening experience for so many of our students who don't, live in the city of Washington, to realize firsthand what poverty is really like.
And I know that they can be really transforming experiences for these kids.
Definitely.
Change them or at least plant the seed.
Exactly.
And for change later on.
Exactly. I don't know whether I told you, John, but one of our outreaches during the years is through Martha's Table, and it's called McKenna's Wagon, which I love. It's named after our revered Father McKenna. But we've been going there now for 18 years on Wednesdays that school is in session. And for the last 15 or so, we've had a retired Foreign Service man who's been our volunteer. And he had some health issues this semester, so we've had different drivers each Wednesday. And one after another, when we get back to Martha's Table, they pulled me aside to say, there's something remarkable about your young boys because they feel so comfortable with homeless people. And I really do believe it's the parents who send their sons to Gonzaga that have planted that seed. But it's also, flourishing at Gonzaga. But also I think it's because the McKenna Center is on our site that our students feel so comfortable helping down there. But also a number of the men will stay, after school when we have a home game to cheer on the Gonzaga team. So it really is part of our family.
Yeah. I really don't know of any high school that has a McKenna Center on its campus.
I don't either.
And so the boys see poor people there on a regular basis.
Exactly.
And it changes them.
It's an eye-opener. It really is.
Yeah. Of course, Sister, the main reason for this tournament, not basketball necessarily, but of course that's the focus, but really is to support those service projects, and all of our funds go to do that.
And I can tell you how much we appreciate it from the deepest part of our hearts, because we know how valuable the experience is for the students, but your financial and psychic and help and support means the world to us.
Well, I know that's why many dads stay involved in the tournament after their sons have graduated from Gonzaga. And we've had hundreds of dads been involved over the years.
It's very impressive.
And it takes every one of them to make this tournament what it is.
That's great, especially you, John.
Well, I'm just a chair of guys that do a great job.
No.
Well, Sister, it's been great talking to you, and thanks for all the work that you do at Gonzaga, and thanks for being here tonight.